was cheaper to live on a cruise ship than to live in one of the homes. So he booked himself on the trip, he was loving it, had a shipwreck, managed to swim to shore all by himself. 2.5 months he was on this beach. He only had bananas and coconuts to eat, and he only had one board in which he managed to use to smooth out the sand to make himself a little lean-to in which to live in. So after 2.5 months, he saw a rowboat coming around the side of the island with this woman in it. She pulls her boat up, and he says, "Oh my goodness, where did you come from? Did you come from a ship?" And she said, "Oh no, I was shipwrecked, and I've been on the other side of this island for the last 2.5 months." And he said, "Oh," and he said, "Well, where did you get the boat?" And she said, "Well, I made it. I cut down some trees, hauled it out," and he said, "and the oars," and she said, "Oh, that was simple. I just used some bamboo, and then I wove the paddles and attached them with some rope that I made." And he said, "That's amazing." And she said, "Would you like to come back to my place?" And he said, "I'd love to." So he gets in the rowboat with her, and she rows around to the side. Well, he could not believe his eyes. He saw she had built an entire dock. She pulled up, tied her boat to it. She had a beautiful stone path to this cottage she'd made all out of bamboo that even had windows and even had a tiered system up the trees. So this beautiful tree house. So she said, "Would you like something to drink?" And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do any more coconut milk." And she said, "Oh no, I fermented my own drinks." And she says, "It's a lovely rum that I managed to get from the wild sugar cane." And he's like, "Wow, this tastes delicious." And she goes, "Would you like to clean up?" She said, "I'm going to go and just shower and change my clothes from rowing." And she said, "If you'd like, there's a razor that I made up there, and you can have a shower." And he goes up, he finds she's whittled this razor out of a tortoise shell and smoothed the edge, and he can't believe this. And he shaves, and he comes down, and she's sitting on the couch, and she's got this woven dress she's wearing for the grasses, and gardenias in her hair, and he can smell how beautiful she smells, and he sits down beside her. And she smiles at him, and she said, "Do you feel better?" And he said, "This is just absolutely amazing. I cannot believe what you've done here." And she said, "Oh," and she said, as she puts her hand on his knee, and she said, "I guess it's been a long time since you played around." And he looks at her, tears well up in his eyes, and he said, "Oh my God, you've built a golf course." So what I love about this, other than the woman's the enterprising person here, is we all have things that we think we can't do. And a lot of the time, the reason we think we cannot do something is because we see obstacles or circumstances in our ways. Somewhat like the sanding stones. Some people see them as a gateway to something incredible, and others see them as the reason they cannot do things. So this whole month we've been talking, speak power to circumstance. And we say this instead of speak power to power, is because we know there's only one power. We know that a circumstance that is an obstacle to me might be something that doesn't matter to you at all, or might actually help you on your way. So we're going to investigate how to handle these stones, how to look at them, and how we get through them. I don't know if anybody's ever watched the show Outlander, but the whole idea of this is a woman from the 1940s goes to Scotland and is transported through these huge stones back in time 200 years. And she has all these experiences. She brings her knowledge with her, but she is transformed by the time in which she is in. Others see these stones and never move through them. And others see these stones and worship them for the magical qualities they have. So how are you treating the standing stones in your life. And we all have them. There are excuses, there are boundaries, there are the ideas that hold us back. I have a few stones that I have put up here around the bowl, and you're welcome to take one when you come to bless the bowl or make your donation today. And on one side is what might be perceived as an obstacle, and on the other side is perhaps the flip thought of that. Be happy to take it, chuck it in a lake, keep it if it's a good reminder, if it happens to resonate with you. But stones aren't permanent. Everything changes. I don't know if any of you heard the story of the boomerang meteorite this week. I happened to hear it on CBC on As It Happens. And it seems that this meteorite hit the Earth 100,000 years ago. Sat there, was not the most exciting meteorite. Of course, there was no one around to find it at the time. They're worth a lot more now. Anyway, there was a volcano eruption, and it hurled this meteorite back up into space, which is amazing, where it stayed for another 10,000 years until it fell back to Earth. Hence the name, the boomerang meteorite. So if that doesn't prove stones aren't permanent, nothing will. Anything can be moved. Anything that you can want to move past is movable. Nothing is fixed. As much as it appears to be, as much as we rammed into that rock 1,000 times, it isn't permanent. So how do we change it? So we're going to be looking at 3 things. What to do when you're hit by a stone or you run into your rock. What you need to become in order to move that stone, which is really the secret. And then how to surrender what is happening, because that too is the key. So we ran into a rock in our lives, whatever the circumstance may be. It could be not enough money to do this trip you want to take or start this business. It might be not meeting anyone, not having the availability to meet anyone when you're seeking to fall in love. There is a multitude of different things. Maybe government is what is standing in your way. Maybe financial prosperity is what's stopping you from doing things. But none of these things are permanent. And as important and horrible and big they are to you, to someone else, they might not mean anything. They might not be able to relate, and therefore they pass right through what seems like such an obstacle. So it was really interesting. I was listening to a talk by Joe Dispenza. I don't know if many of you listened to him. And he was talking about a couple that came to his seminars forever, and they do what they call our mind movies there. So they set everything they want to a song that they hopefully never grow tired of, and they watch these every day. I'm actually hoping to maybe do a workshop this winter and help everyone create their own mind movies to watch on a continual basis. So this couple had an idea. They got this app, it cost about $9,000, and they were going to sell their business online, and they set a goal of $1 million in the first year. Now that sounds pretty lofty for a $9,000 app, but they knew other people that had done this. They'd done a lot of research, and they thought, no, it's a bit of a dream, but it's a good dream. So they watched their mind movie over and over again, and they got ready for their day to launch. And the day they launched, the stock market crashed. 2008, the worst that had happened since the 30s. So they didn't know what to do, plus the morning they went online, the server they had chosen was doing maintenance. So by noon of the first day they launched, they had received 200,000 complaints that people hadn't received confirmations. They got that all sorted out. By the end of the week, they were up to almost $700,000. Their bank contacted them and said, we're going to close your account because of all this activity and we need to figure out who you are. So after much lamenting, after much talking to them, their bank account was closed. They had to contact everyone they owed commissions to. They were trying to get by, and after 6 months, when the bank finally finished their check on who they were and all the compliance issues, the bank released their monies, all $750,000, plus $250,000 in interest. Hence, they made their $1 million. All through that, they never stopped watching their film. They never stopped believing that those stones could be moved, that those things that seemed so big to them that were causing them gut-wrenching anxiety every day, they kept turning away from it, turning to the dream. So, it takes this work. It takes this continual turning away from those stones and looking at what you want. Now, it's not just about positive thinking, because the thing that put that stone there for you is you. Your ideas, your beliefs, your way of moving through the world. So, what do you do about that? Meditation. You've got to go within and change who you are. Change what you believe. Change how you move through this world. Change how your perspective is influencing, because you cannot change those stones with the same person that dragged and put them there. So we can learn from those stones, and we learn those lessons. That's wonderful. Sometimes we can whittle those stones down to pebbles, but we never eliminate them until we change ourselves. We change our frequency. We change what we are putting out in that world. So what do? We go within. We go to that place of pure awareness, pure potential. How do you do that? Get rid of the body. Relax the body. Send the body somewhere else. Do whatever you can to see yourself as just a thought in space. Why? Because if you're not, you're dragging that person with you that you're trying to change. So you gotta let go of the things that you own that define you. The things that how you feel about the way you look, how you feel about the way you present yourself in the world. Try to let every one of those things go and just be aware. Just look around in this space behind your eyes in the darkness, and just be aware of the thoughts that come into your head. So when we do that, we're shedding the old. We're letting that move away, and then we're ready to picture what we want. So what's it look like? What does the new you look like? So you want to meet someone. So new you, a little more outgoing, signs up for different groups, goes out and says hello to everyone that they feel maybe someone they'd be interested in knowing a little better. Do they widen their social circles? Do they put themselves in places that they don't normally go? Because obviously that person's not hanging out where they usually are. We have to create new. Same with abundance. How can you create abundance if all you're thinking about is what you don't have, or what you lack, or how you can't do that, or how you can't go there? You have to let that all go. You have to see yourself as you want to be. You have to see the new you. And when you do that, those rocks, they don't merely move, they explode out of your way. So you're there, you get this wonderful image of how you look, how this new you is ready to emerge. So then what do you have to do? You have to get the feeling. Because everything that we put into our subconscious is put there by the feeling. So we did a mental equivalence class, and we got this idea of what we wanted to step into, who the new us was going to be, how we were going to move into this world. And when we do this, it's one thing to know and write on the paper. It's another thing to feel what that person feels like. How does this really wealthy person walk through this world? How do they talk? How do they give money? Who are they generous to? What do they think about issues of a bill coming up that was unexpected? Did they give it a thought, or did they just smile and say, well, that was a great trip, I guess, I'm glad I get to pay for it? Whatever it is, the new person that you've created in your mind is the one you need to bring out of this meditation. Find out how they feel. How's a wealthy person feel? Or an abundant person, whatever it is that you want. What does that feel like? What does it feel like to walk into a room and have the attention on you? What does it feel like to approach someone that you find attractive or you find nice, and you speak to them and they respond beautifully to you? Big smile, they're happy to know you. They can't wait to go out for lunch and talk to you. Whether it be a friend or a romantic interest, it doesn't matter. But how does that feel? How does a person that commands that type of attention move through the world? How would you be if you were right now what you dreamed of? Be it. Because that is the thought that attracts. That is the way to part the stones. So let's get a little bigger. Let's say it's something with the government. Say it's global warming. Big, big stones, right? Humongous stones. Stones that might scare you. Spirit is always moving, advancing for our good. It always has taken care of us, and it always will. Even when circumstances look bleak. So what is the opposite of this fear? It is knowing. It is knowing that Spirit is there to help. Knowing that, yes, absolutely, do your part. Step up there, help, be kind. Help other people learn how to correct situations or get out and work on the election, whatever it is. But don't do it. I'm preaching here, so take that back. Feel if you can do it from a place of helping, of expanding, of hope, of joy, of love, instead of from the area of fear. Because nothing is going to bring peace, end global warming, move our society forward in the way we want, where we're supportive of all of our members, than the loving, joyous, happy, economically viable you. That's the only thing that ever has. So when you take care of yourself and you move your own stones, use that example for people you work around. Say, you know what, I don't want to hear about what another party isn't doing. I want to hear about what your party's going to do. Tell me your hope. Tell me your joy. Tell me what you're excited to do. Don't tell me how awful the other people are. Change your perspective. Move those stones. So the third part is the surrendering. And I love this part because, let's face it, there are times you've done the meditation, you've got the mental equivalent, you got the feels going on, things are moving, but you hit the biggie. Maybe it's a setback. Maybe it's something you didn't count on. Maybe it's a really big catastrophe with your home. Maybe it's a really large bill. Maybe it's an illness. Something that really sets you back on your heels, and we've all been there, haven't we? We've all had these things where you just don't know how you're going to go forward. You just don't know how you're going to get up and put that foot in front of the other. So what do? You surrender. You lay down in front of that stone and you go, Spirit, it's all yours. This one I can't move today. This one, I'm sorry, it's just too big I can't get to that place of knowing. I can't get to that feels. I can't even hear you because this rock seems so big to me. So big. So you take whatever faith you've got, knowing Spirit has this. You throw the little rocks away, you lay down in front of that stone, and you say, thy will be done. I'm giving it to you. I know you want what is best for me. I know that you are always expanding in the right and perfect ways. And you know what? Sometimes I don't have a clue what you're doing. I don't know why you put these lessons for me or why these things are unfolding as they are. But I know you love me unconditionally. And I know you are doing everything that I've asked for. And know that that stone will be easily moved for you. You might not see it for a while. It might not be the way you wanted that stone to move. It might feel incredibly uncomfortable. All change is. In fact, I say for people, when you're moving that stone, you're going to feel awful at times. Even when you see it moving, you're going to say, not sure if I'm crazy about the new me. I'm not sure if I'm not comfortable in my own skin. You know, I went out and bought this really nice outfit, and it was, okay, the new me, the new rich me, she totally loved it and thought she deserved it and brought it home and wore it around. But the old me keeps whispering in my ears, oh, could you afford that? Are you really? Yes. Shut up, the old person. Listen to the new you. But it's going to be uncomfortable, and things are going to challenge you. People are going to show up. They're going to tell you you're crazy. They're going to ask you who you think you are. They're going to ask you, oh, really? So you're just doing this all in your head and you're expecting to be abundant. Just be quiet. Let it go. Just smile, knowing that they're not aware of what you're aware of. Let them know it always works out for me. Nothing annoys people more than that. When they want to throw up the wall, they want to bring a stone in front of you, and you're saying, nah, I'm just ignoring that. Because they have their own circumstances. They have their own stones that they're going to pull in front of you, and they're going to make you want to look at them. You can't follow your passion. You can't make a living at your passion. Don't you see the stone? Do you see that huge stone in your way? No, I don't. Because the person I am knows that stone doesn't exist. You can't heal yourself with consciousness. You can't go in and become a new person with a new feeling body and move through the world healthy and strong. You've got this illness, and everybody knows everybody dies of this illness. They've dragged another stone. You don't see it. It's not in your reality. You know that stone has moved before and it'll move again. You're too old to do this. You should have started this 40 years ago. You're too old. They pulled the stone. You know that's impossible. You know you've never felt smarter, more capable, more determined. That stone goes away. So, all the circumstances, everything's transient. Everything turns. What is a huge stone to one of you is as nothing to someone else. Find the person it's nothing to. Tell them your fears. Share some of these. Listen to how they handle their own stones. That's what's so wonderful when we share our stories, our manifestations, our ideas here. Because it shows me, oh, I have that stone. Oh my goodness. I have it, and they got rid of theirs. I can get rid of mine. That's the joy of these sharing. When we do classes, I'm always at people. How did it go this week? What happened this week? Did anything unfold? And I'm not talking parking spaces. I'm done with parking spaces. Let's move on to bigger things. You know, have you fallen in love? Have your child got the job of their dreams? Did you get the job of your dreams? How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a vibrant, interesting person? Open up. See those chances, because that's what we're trying every week to create here. In one way or another, we're trying to move your stones. Sounds like, the kidney stones popped into my mind. There was another joke I heard where the fellow went in and the doctor said, well, you have kidney stones. And he said, yeah, you're in trouble. Get it? You're in? Anyway, okay, see the joke. Move that stone. So I would like to end with a poem that I found, and it was by a fellow named Andrew Duncan, and he has a podcast. Wish I could remember the name of the podcast. But he wrote this poem, and it just came up on my Instagram feed. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is the talk. Deep in the stillness of now lies the greatest gift to be found. It's in the acceptance of what is that you break what's kept you bound. When you find the quiet within, an immeasurable treasure shines through, a glimpse into the eternal nature of this mystery called you. What we seek is who is seeking, and so we look to others to be seen. But when you see the one who's seeking, you are freed from who you are being. A flower opens gently, and it cycles like the moon. When you let go of who you're not, you might find yourself bloom. And so a more beautiful world may come, not by trying to change the tides, but by softening your gaze within and to begin seeing with new eyes. And so it is.